They could have died at any point in that night. They couldn't tell you the orders of which they was done. Yet apparently in the media, she shot her twin sons first, then she's gone and, gunned down her father as he tried to phone for help, then she's murdered her mother.
Yeah,
so now we've got an order of it as well.
Yeah, this is why I don't believe everything I read on the internet. So
why? The police have given them certain information to put out there so that everybody's believing it.
I don't want to say that without backing it up, because it's not against the media to just make up random shit. But there was no sugar that was spilt on the floor on her feet. I remember you just read that out.
Yeah.
In which case she was downstairs either at no point whatsoever, or she's then gone upstairs and cleaned herself off, her hands, her feet, everything, before shooting herself.
Yeah, you wouldn't be doing that.
Who'd give a shit whether I had sugar on my feet
if you were committing suicide? You wouldn't care.
So it doesn't. The pieces don't add up. Okay, so it's my understanding that the police believed and opened and shut this case that it was this woman.
Yeah, they either believed it or wanted a quick case.
And so they didn't look into things properly at all.
No.
Okay, so continuing with this website you've got, what have we got? The end of Wiki.
Mm-hmm.
The investigation was poorly conducted. The murder scene was not secured and searched thoroughly, and evidence was not recorded or preserved. Within a couple of days, the police had burned the blood-stained bedding and carpets, apparently to spare Bamber's feelings. The Sokol moved the murder weapon without wearing gloves, and it was not examined for fingerprints until weeks later. Pat from Evil Pudding is going to love this. 3 days after the killings, Bamber and the extended family were given back the keys to the house. Police did not find the silencer in the cupboard. One of Bamber's cousins found it on the 10th of August, with what appeared to be flecks of red paint and blood, and took it to another of the cousins' homes. It took the police a further 3 days to collect it. So the silencer wasn't even on the gun, it was elsewhere.
Silencer wasn't on the gun at the time that the gun was found.
So you've not shot yourself in the head twice.
Removed the silencer, taken it over, then gone back and died.
Yeah, especially with the blood splatter patterns and all the rest of it that said she was basically sat there. A few days after, the cousins found a scratch on the red mantelpiece that the prosecution said was caused by the silencer during a struggle for the gun. That accounted for the fleck of red paint. The Bible found near Sheila was not examined at all. Journalist David Connaught writes that a hacksaw blade that might have been used to gain entry to the house lay in the garden for months. Officers did not take contemporaneous notes. Those who had dealt with Bamber wrote down their statements weeks later. The bodies were released days after the murders, and 3 of them, Neville, June, and Sheila, were cremated. Bamber's clothes were not examined until 1 month later. 10 years later, all blood samples were destroyed. Well, fair enough, that's 10 years later. I'm okay with that. But everything else...
they obviously wanted a very quick case here. Open and shut. If they was to have looked into that case properly, surely, I know it's in the 80s and we have kind of different technology and...
No, this isn't even about technology in this. Yeah. Go on.
Disappeared.
This isn't even about technology. This is about not doing your job properly.
We had those things available.
It's very simple. It's about an assumption.
Yes.
I've been told that this woman has killed these people. She has a history of mental illness. This must be right because it's what I've been told.
Mm-hmm.
It's the most obvious solution. So, hey, it must be the right solution. No, it doesn't work like that. People don't work like that. No, people should have had their eyes open. And I don't want to use the word policy because I'm sure that's not the right word, but they have a procedure, and these procedures should have been followed. And it said she didn't use gloves. This wasn't collected. That wasn't collected. The scene wasn't secured properly. So on and so forth. I have no idea how these proceedings take place.
No,
but I know how they don't take place, and this is how they don't take place.
I've seen different documentaries, and it's It shows a difference there.
Bamber's behaviour before and after the funeral increased suspicion among his family that he'd been involved. They alleged that he sobbed during the funeral service for his parents and sister, and at one point seemed to buckle and had to be supported by Mugford, that's the girlfriend.
Yeah, Julie Mugford.
But that he was smiling and joking later at the wake. Shortly after the funerals, Bamber travelled to Amsterdam with Mugford and a friend, where he bought a large quantity of cannabis, each their own. The travel agent who sold the tickets said the group had been in high spirits. Again, you can translate that however you like.
Mm-hmm.
Bamber also began selling his family's belongings. Mugford's mother was offered June's car, and an ad was placed in a local newspaper asking £900 for Neville's. Just after his first arrest and release in September, Bamber tried to sell 20 nude photographs of Sheila for £20,000 to The Sun. That's a newspaper. Not the big fiery thing in the sky. Yeah. Just in case you thought he was that crazy as well. And went on another overseas trip with a friend, Brett, this time to St. Tropez. So, the murderous sister has shot her mother, her father, his whatever the kids would be to him, nephews.
His nephews.
If he's had no part of it, go away with it. He's lost his sister, and he's trying to sell her nude photos for £20,000.
Yeah.
Oh, he's just a gentleman. And he's got now, presumably, full possession of the farm, full possession of the caravan site.
I'm assuming at this point he has full control over the family business, just like he wanted.
Some tidbits. A print from Sheila's right ring finger was found on the right side of the butt of the rifle, pointing downwards. A print from Bamber's right forefinger was on the rear end of the barrel, above the stock and pointing across the gun. He said he'd used it, though, to shoot rabbits. And there were 3 other prints that could not be identified. Going over the silencer, in a bit more detail. It was not on the gun when the bodies were discovered. It was found by one of Bamber's cousins 3 days after the murders, in the ground floor office gun cupboard. Whether it was on the gun during the murders became a pivotal issue. The prosecution maintained the silencer had indeed been on the gun, and this meant Sheila could not have shot herself. Forensic tests indicated her arms were not long enough to turn the gun on herself with the silencer attached. If she had shot the others with the silencer, then realised the gun was too long for her to shoot herself, the silencer would have been found next to her body. She had no reason to return it to the gun cupboard before going back upstairs to shoot herself. If Sheila was not the killer, it meant Bamber had lied about the telephone call from his father saying Sheila had gone berserk with the gun. The police searched the gun cupboard on the day of the murders but found nothing. 3 days later, on the 10th of August, Bamber's extended family visited the farm with Basil Cock, the estate's executor. Stop laughing. It's not a funny name.
Who's laughing?
You're being a dick. During that visit... It's not
Back
right.
to the case.
You may find a cock on a farm, but that is not the point. During that visit, one of the cousins, David Boutflower, found the silencer and rifle sights in the gun cupboard. The court heard this was witnessed by Boutflower's father and sister, as well as by Mr. Cock and the farm secretary. Instead of alerting the police, the family took the silencer to Boutflower's sister's home. Boutflower said it felt sticky. They found red paint and blood on the silencer, and the surface of it had been damaged. I knew you were going to do that. Do not make me laugh. When the police collected the silencer from them on the 12th of August, 5 days after the murders, an officer reportedly noticed an inch-long grey hair attached to it. But this had gone by the time the silencer arrived at the Forensic Science Services at Huntingdon, Cambridgeshire. John Hayward found blood on the inside and outside surface of the silencer. The latter was not enough to permit analysis, and the blood inside was found to be the same blood group as Sheila's, although it could have been a mixture of Neville's and June's. A firearms expert, Malcolm Fletcher, said the blood was black backsplatter caused by close contact shooting. Okay, so now things get interesting, not just because it's the date of my birthday. So if, you'll listen to this and it's, say, 4th, 5th, 6th of September and you want to send me a special gift, then you may do so.
Is it a big birthday?
Yeah, it is. I'm going to be 40. So if you want to buy, say, 200 of my books and send them out to people you love, cherish and care about, or just use them as doorstops and stuff, I'm more than fine with that. However, for the sake of this case, we're going to talk about Julie Mugford's statement on the 7th of September, my birthday, 1985. It was 3 years before I was born. 3 years after I was born, rather. There you go, I've only had one. A month after the murders, Julie Mugford changed her statement to police. She was now alleging Bamber had been planning to kill his family. As a result of her second statement, Bamber was arrested the following day. Bamber and Mugford had started dating in 1983 when she was 19 and studying for a degree in education at Goldsmiths College in London. She'd taken a holiday job in Sloppy Joe's, a pizzeria in Colchester, where Bamber had a bar job in the evenings. During police interviews, Mugford admitted to a brief background of dishonesty in 1985. She'd been cautioned for using a friend's checkbook after it had been reported stolen to obtain goods worth around $700. She said she and the friend had repaid the money to the bank. Mugford also acknowledged having helped Bamber in 1985 to steal just under £1,000 from the offices of the Osier Road caravan site his family owned. She said they had staged a break-in to make it appear that strangers were responsible. This was the crime you were telling us about. Mugford was initially supportive of Bamber. Photographs of his parents and Sheila's funeral show him weeping and hanging onto her arm. During an interview with the police on the day after the murders, she said Bamber had telephoned her at home in the early hours of 7th of August, between 3 and 3:30 a.m., and said there's something wrong at home, and he sounded worried. She said she'd been tired and had not even asked what was wrong. Mugford's position changed the following month after she'd had a series of rows with Bamber. He seemed to want to end the relationship, and they'd argued about his involvement in the murders. Mugford told Bamber he was a psychopath, and at one point tried to smother him with a pillow. During one argument on the 4th of September, another woman telephoned Bamber in Mugford's presence. As it became clear to Mugford that he had been seeing the woman, she smashed the mirror and slapped Bamber. He twisted her arm up her back. 3 days later, she went to the police and changed her statement. So, let me get this right. She's supporting the fact that this guy's turned around and said he's killed his entire family.
Yeah.
She's totally chill with it.
Mm-hmm.
She's helped him steal money here, here, and here.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden, he's bonking this other woman, and suddenly she's like, oh, you need to go to prison, you killed your family. At no point does she go, fuck me, you killed 2 kids, you're an arsehole.
No.
I don't even care about him killing his parents. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's wrong, it's not nice, but if you're an adult and you make a decision to do something else to another adult, I don't like it, but I understand there's a serious disagreement there. When it comes to kids, you're just major over the line.
I think it's the fact that
she was supporting him up until this point.
Regardless of whether, it was a child or not, she had supported him. She chose to go, hey, yeah, do you know what? Don't worry, that's all right. I'm good with it.
Would you do that for me?
I don't think I could, no.
If I killed 2 kids, if I killed 1 kid, you take me outside, you put 2 rounds in the back of my head. That's where that ends.
Sorry,
no,
but
not a chance. Wouldn't happen. In the second statement, Mugford alleged that between July and October 1984, Bamber had said he wished he could get rid of them all, had talked disparagingly about his old father and mad mother, who were trying to run his life. Bamber said his sister had nothing to live for and that the twins were disturbed. The fact that Bamber's parents were paying for Sheila's expensive flat in Maida Vale annoyed him. In discussions, she said she had dismissed it as idle talk. Bamber talked about sedating his parents with sleeping pills, shooting them, and setting fire to the farmhouse.